What's going on, traders? This is Jack with the Trading Tribe. Thanks for coming back for another video. Super excited for this one today. We're actually going to go through another strategy that I like to trade in the markets. So hopefully there's a ton of value packed in today. We've got a lot more cool content coming too. So feel free to like and subscribe to the channel for more trading content similar to this. And we'll get into it today. So today we're going to focus on how to tackle and trade uptrends. And uptrends are one of my favorite, setups or types of trades to take part in throughout the markets because really no matter what market you're trading, uptrends typically happen quite a bit. Right? If we think about like the stock market over time, it typically goes up and it really always has, right? Throughout the entire history of the US stock market, for example, it's gone up from, the starting point till now quite a bit. So learning how to trade those moves up and learning how to trade uptrends is extremely profitable. And it doesn't really matter the time frame you're looking at. Today we're going to look at natural gas, which again is my bread and butter for day trading. It is a futures contract that I like to trade in the markets, and there was an uptrend today, so I like to show this just as an example, and we'll kind of take a look at how we actually trade uptrends as well. And if we look at this chart, for example, right, it's kind of clear now because the trend already occurred and this is all kind of past tense. It's a little trickier in the moment sometimes to spot some of this, but we'll look at kind of a picture perfect uptrend like this one and kind of talk through the different trade setups that occurred and the different areas on the chart that you could have made money in the buying direction or in the uptrend type setup here. And if we look here, really the way an uptrend forms is by higher lows and higher highs. So if we notice all of these lows on the chart, for example, are higher than the last one, at least these major lows, for example, and I missed this one, but we'll notice every time the market makes a low on this given day, this is a 1 minute chart, but it doesn't really matter, right? Even in this time frame, we'll notice all of these lows are higher than the last low. So that's what we call a higher low. And then vice versa, right? We're actually getting higher highs on most of the pushes. So we'll notice, right, it makes this lower low, makes this higher low, makes this higher high, and then it makes another high, and another high, and another high, another high. So it's kind of the opposite, right? It's making higher lows and it's making higher highs. And those are really the two criteria for an uptrend. So this is what we like to call market structure. So if we look at this chart, for example, all of these low and high pivots are kind of making up the market structure of the day. And this is by no means a perfect uptrend. We'll notice it's not really respecting VWAP. It's not really respecting our moving average. And if you don't know what those two things are, definitely go back on the channel and watch my indicators video that kind of describes the indicators I like to lean on when trading in the markets. But this, isn't a perfect uptrend by any means. This is just one that occurred in the markets as of late. That was kind of a nice one to show. And regardless, right, we'll notice those higher highs and higher lows are occurring. And that essentially warrants an uptrend. So that's how we understand in the market that there is an uptrend in the first place. And after that, essentially all of these buy setups are trade opportunities. So essentially, as long as there is a higher high, that essentially is my trigger. And that makes this next pullback valid essentially. So if we notice, disregard the times as well, some of these are kind of early, but when the market pushed up and made all of these higher highs, really the second it made that first higher high, in my eyes, the trade is valid. So when the market does pull back, this is a buy setup for a trend trade. So this is our first trend trade entry in my eyes for the uptrend that we're seeing on the day. So there's breakouts occurring and there's mean reversions. There's a bunch of stuff happening on this day, but we're really only focusing on the uptrend aspect to the actual setup. And the way you actually take a trend trade or take an uptrend trend trade is we would essentially get in on one of these pullbacks or one of these lower highs or higher lows, excuse me, and you put your stop loss ideally below the prior lower high. So if we look left and go to that last lower high, because if we think about it, it's making higher lows over time, it shouldn't make a lower low here. So if we get in here, for example, it shouldn't go down to here, right? Because then that would make a lower low. So that's essentially why we want our stop loss a little bit below typically that prior low for an uptrend. So let's just say we get in here, we put our stop loss down here at this level, ideally, at least, and this is where that risk management comes to play. And then the nice thing is for your target, you can really target those prior highs, because if you think about it, it should be making higher highs and higher lows. So kind of the same logic as that stop loss, but reverse for our target. We can target these highs up here because that's where it went last time. And you'll notice pretty quickly why this trade is so nice, because when we do take this trade, even if we get in over here, we have a stop loss down. Let's just measure it real quick. Down 20 ticks. So you're risking $200. Watch my drawing tool video if you're kind of confused here, but that 20 represents the tick value of this trade. So your stop loss would essentially be $210 per contract, and your potential here is $780 or 78 ticks. So that's almost like a 4-to-1 risk to reward. And that's why these trend trades can actually be so lucrative, right? Your risk to reward's really nice. You have a very clear indication on when to get in, as well as when to not get in. And I have an uptrend weakness video kind of showing when to spot when a trend is kind of finishing. But you'll want to watch that too, because this obviously shows a good trend that worked, but there's signs obviously that show that the trend is over as well. That's super important. But hopefully this video was a lot of value today, and hopefully this shows you kind of the value of trading uptrends and how I actually trade them in the markets. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and then please like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks everybody.